Hey, welcome back to the Weekly Word Outdoor Adventure Time, and welcome to the Cumberland Plateau. We're about 8 or 9 miles outside of Crossville, Tennessee here at an old German POW camp. It started out as a CCC camp back in the 30s, but of course World War II ended the CCCs because they needed our boys to go off in the military. But then they had to find out what they were going to do with the German POWs. And they put them in all over our country around here in different lake locations. And we had an empty CCC camp sitting here. So this served as one of them. I actually spent some time here myself 51 years ago. Spent a hot August week here because eventually it became a 4-H camp. I remember it plainly. I was here when Richard Nixon resigned. It was the talk of the camp. But looking back and thinking of some of the stuff that we did in the wood shop, and I've actually on my barn got a 1x4 that I made that week, and routed out my name on it and stained it, and realizing now that I'm older, I was here just 30 years after the prisoners of war were here, and probably even used the same woodworking equipment that they used, and maybe slept in the same beds in the barracks that they did. But they were treated really great here. I've learned recently that they fed them 2,500 calories a day. That's probably more than I eat every day. I thought if those other Germans in the trenches over in the war theater knew how they were being treated over here in Crossville, Tennessee, and other places in our country, they would have probably surrendered just to come and eat and have the 3 hots in the cot instead of what they were going through. But that's one thing about America. There's a lot of talk about making America great again, but America's greatness has always been in our goodness. Yeah, we have to fight wars sometimes and have to kill people, but we're the only country I know of that after the war we usually go in and rebuild the infrastructure that we've blown up. We treat their people, our prisoners, better than any other nation ever treats any prisoners. In fact, I've seen where these Germans over here at this camp, they eventually showed them some film of how the American prisoners were over in the German camps and how emaciated their bodies were, and they were starving to death. They were getting, I think, 1,100 calories per day, and at first the Germans, they couldn't believe that was the way they were treated. They didn't think it was even real. But that's what makes us great, is we've even treated our enemies well when we've had to capture and hold them as POWs. And that's what the Bible says. We won't say you won't have any enemies, but it says you love your enemies and you be kind to one another. And we're losing some of that in this country today. And that's just there's a lot of Bible verses that we like to memorize and quote, but that's one of my favorites. The Bible just says, be ye kind to one another. Let's make an extra effort, all of us, just to be kind to one another. Even when we disagree politically and in other ways, we can still be kind to one another. All right, we're going to explore around here a little bit more while we're over here outside of Crossville. And thanks for joining us.